What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Have you been finding it hard to blend the correct skin tones and blend them together? Well, this is the perfect tutorial for you. I'm going to be showing you the method I use in blending my skin tones or skin colors in Capture One. But before that, I want to say a very big thank you to those of you supporting the channel one way or the other. I want to say I'm really grateful. Okay, back to the tutorial. Now I can see from the photo or in the photo that the down part of our legs is different from the color of our laps. So you can actually see, and some of the colors in the background is actually bleeding into our legs, and we want to try and fix that in a minute. So this is a step I'm actually going to take. I'm going to come here, the plus sign, close to the plus sign, click on new empty adjustment layer, and this time around we have to work with the background first of all, because when we select the down part here, it's going to select the background as well, and I don't want that. So you can see also it's going to select this place. So let's try and select just the background. So you can see that the background is also selected. That's also selected our leg. So let's just try to select other parts of our leg. And alright, so now we've selected some parts of our leg. Alright, the editing is actually going to affect some part of our skin. So I'm just going to do Ctrl Z again and see where we selected wrongly. I'm going to select this part to get the right part to select. Okay, right click and then refine the edge, make the tolerance small, and let's pick on this part. Then it's going to select that side. Let's pick on this part and it's going to select that side. So a little bit of this one, select this. Okay, so roughly it's selected where we need to select. Alright, so let's work on that. Yeah, alright, I'm going to rename this one and name it Skin Correct 1. Enter. Let's go to the hit M on the keyboard to hide the marks, and we're going to go to the editor. First of all, go to the eye dynamic and then increase the blacks till we get something similar. So that's looking okay. I believe 60 is too much. We can also increase the shadows and then get something. Let's increase it to 30, and then this one let's take it up to 50. Alright, so we can actually desaturate a little bit of that to something like this. Remember, I'm trying to get this type of color feel. We can as well add this part to the mask. So let's click on that and add that part to the mask. See, it's calculating the mask too, and then okay, it's added. So we've blended that. Alright, so we can still actually work on this side separately, and let's see if we can increase that. Okay, the mask is actually covering those. Okay, now after that we go to the color and then select under the skin tone color editor, select this mask too. You can see the skin tones. Then I want it to represent to be like somewhere close to our chest. I'm going to bring it out as I selected here. I'm going to go down and then go back to our legs. So let's decrease the saturation and see what happens. Yeah, so decreasing the saturation makes that's too much. So watch out for this side. If you take it all the way back, you're going to see it's not actually blending. So let's take it all the way up to somewhere like this. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and then I'm going to increase the uniformity. So guess what, it's actually changing the color, but that doesn't mean. Alright, so let's increase the lightness just a bit, and then we have that. Okay, so this hue, we're going to take it up. This is actually what blends the whole skin together. Take this one up. Let's take this one up too. So I'm going to leave it the way it is. If it gets too much, it gets unnatural. Okay, so let's bring this one back a little bit more. Alright, so now we are good with this. Alright, just a few more tips, which is this part of our leg. You can see it's just because the photo is in a low resolution, that is why. Okay, so I'm going to create one more layer, which is for the new adjustment layer, and then I'm going to select this part of our legs. Alright, so you can see where I've selected, and if I zoom in, those are the dark areas. I'm going to go to the exposure Don't worry about the way it's looking. We can actually use frequency separation in Photoshop to blend all those together. I'm not trying to change the photo. I'm trying to just try to get it the way it should be. So hit M on the keyboard, and then let's increase the black this time around, to get it where it should be. Okay, so I'm going to increase the shadows too of that area just a bit by 10 or 9. Okay, we can actually still increase the blacks, and then we get it like this. All right, so that actually solved a problem. Now one last one. I can call this one knee color correct, and one last one, an empty layer again, and this time we're going to select the whole skin. So let's select the whole skin by, let's increase the tolerance and the refine edge, and then we're going to select the whole skin. So I'll start from this place and select a mouth, and then every other places. Alright, so you can see that it actually selected almost every part of the background colors looking like that area of our skin. Alright, so if you actually want to keep the background, don't worry, you can actually correct this photo and then take it to Photoshop, and then use the select subject, and then you mask her out and she remains in the background, or whichever way you can cut her out of the photo and place her back to the background. But this one I'm trying to correct her skin tone, so if it's going to affect the background, it's none of my business. I can still preserve the background by doing the same cut in Photoshop. So after all, after I finish editing, I'm going to take it to Photoshop. So now we've selected the skin, and then we're going to go back to the color, which is this one, and then we're going to select the place we want it to look like. Now take a note of this circle. Wherever you select is what's going to be selected in the circle. Let's zoom in and let's choose a place. This time around I'm choosing somewhere close to our chest, which has some colors. Let's look at the face. Okay, let's say I want this place actually makeup area. I'm going to choose this part, or let's see this part. Okay, so this part is actually okay. I'm going to zoom out a little bit and come back to the hue and uniformity. I'm going to increase this. I want everything looking uniform, but that's bringing yellow to the photo. I don't want that. And we can increase the saturation to blend everything out like that. Now we can increase the hue, and let's see what happens. I don't want it to look fake at the same time. Okay, so now we can go up and we can decrease the lightness just a bit, if that's not a problem, because we can't take it all the way up. Okay, see, it's gonna look okay. I think it's looking okay like this. Let's take it just a little bit up. I want to match it with our face, the lightness of our face. So I'll bring this one up, and again we'll go up, and this slider, let's increase it, give it some saturation, and then bring up. Okay, let's reset the saturation, bring this up. Should we bring it back? Bringing it back gives it the black feel. I don't want that, so I want to take it all the way up, and then get this chest the way the chest look like. Okay, so that looks pretty good to me, and you can see that you want to change the background, and that is okay. Alright, so you can actually still go back to this one, click on this tool, and then you can add the background which you've not added. So I click on the background, and it's going to add those colors to it, so something like this. Amazing. Alright, so I want to remove it from some part of our clothes if that's a problem, but let's see how it's gonna look like. So removing some part of our clothes, and we're gonna have this real color of the way our clothes should look like, and some parts here and some parts here. Alright, so that's that. I think it's looking pretty good right away. Alright, so you can decrease the opacity or increase the opacity in just a little bit. Now we've actually succeeded. Okay, so one last thing is to create a new adjustment layer, a field adjustment layer, and after that I'm going to name this one final adjustment, and I just want to make some few adjustments. Okay, we can actually still select the background and desaturate it. So let's remove this one and create one for the background. The background empty layer, and this time I'm going to select the background. Alright, so I've made selection of the background, and I've done some cleanup So we have just the background selected. Why the background? Just because I want to add just the background on its own. So I name it background. And then let's start with the saturation or the hue. So let's go to the color, the exposure, and let's desaturate. If that's actually we don't want to increase the saturation, let's desaturate it a bit. Go to the eye dynamics. We're going to bring up the blacks, bring down the shadows, so we can actually increase the white, or taking it down make it look flat. So let's increase the white, increase the highlight, bring down the shadows, and let's see more on the blacks. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Bringing down the blacks. Okay, and close that tab. We can decrease the brightness a bit and increase. Okay, it's actually affecting this now, so let's not do that. Open the right eye dynamic and let's try and see where the problem is coming from. Okay, coming from the shadows. So let's bring down the whites and bring down the highlights. Let's try and bring down the brightness all the way. How about the desaturation? Okay, so let's leave that alone. I think that's all we need to do for this. That's all we need to do for this. So we can go and use frequency separation, to get that done or out of the way. Let's go to the color and let's see how we can, change the orange to the color it was before, which is this one. Great, and I can see some part is actually there of which I don't want, so we can erase that. I think that's the color of her hair. So this is actually looking okay. We can take it back to the way it's actually looking before. And if you feel like the lightness is too much, you can bring it down. I feel the lightness is okay, so the saturation, let's take it up just a bit, and now we are good. So let's make the final adjustment, which is a fill adjustment, and this time around we're going to go to the exposure and the eye dynamic, white balance, the exposure and the eye dynamic. Okay, so let's look at what's wrong with the photo. We can bring down the whites, and what else? Yeah, let's bring down the white. We can increase the highlights for our face, and the shadows, should we brighten it up or bring it down? Let's take it down. So I'm gonna leave it down, just down like this, and the blacks, bring it down just like so. Then looks okay, and we can give it some contrast. That looks pretty good. Alright, so saturation also, so I think that's okay for me. Now we can check our before and after. So I know there are some changes, so you can see the skin has been actually corrected. So you can actually take it to Photoshop and work on the photo itself, the skin color itself. Alright, so thank you so much guys for watching. I'll go to Photoshop and I'm going to fix this in a minute. So this is our before, and then this is our after. These are before, these are after. Alright, so if you feel like it's actually masking on our skin, we can remove at some places. Let's see, let's trace that. Okay, so on the first skin correct, I'm going to erase the lips from the lips, then zoom in, and this is the time you have to take in correcting your photo. So let's see which other place is selected. Somewhere here, bring it back, and then I'm going to clean some places. So we have this. I can as well clean this side of the mask. Okay, and then let's turn it back on and see the difference. So I want to erase it, the mask from this place. Okay, so we have that, and you can start fixing the photo just one after the other the way you like it. So as for me, I can do something. So after a lot of consideration, I feel like this is the only one affecting. I want to keep the color, so we can erase the background even with our face, because we've actually corrected the skin part, and we just need just the leg part. So this is what I'm talking about, saying I'll try to take it to Photoshop and then get it done. So let's erase it from some parts. Alright, so I've actually masked and erased some parts of the mask. Okay, so we can see our before and after. Just work on the skin tones itself. But I prefer Photoshop in doing this. Alright, so we can keep on turning off the rest and then decreasing the opacity as a whole, and zoom out, adjust the layer. So this one we can also work on that, bringing it back. Okay, but I believe we don't need that. The background, we can actually leave it. So we can leave the rest, depend on the one you want. You can see the before and then the after. So just because of this layer makes it different. And so boom, boom, boom. Alright, so this is where I'm going to stop the video, and you already know the trick I use in editing photo. So if you find the video helpful, you can actually subscribe to the channel, and it helps the channel grow. So I'm going to turn all this layer off. But you all know the best way to edit is to know the ones that looks fine to you. So from this to this, from this to this, I prefer only this edit, and this one looks fine as well, but we can decrease the opacity a bit, and then we're done. Alright, so thank you guys, see you in our next video. Once again, this is ASAS. Thank you.